Hello, and thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. Today I'm going to be scrapbooking this photo of the pool at the hotel that we stay at quite frequently these days, and I'll talk a little bit about that in my journaling part. This was actually a really quick layout. I wasn't intending it for it to be such a simple and fast page, but it just worked out that way. So because I have the luxury of a little bit of extra time, I have slowed down this video for you guys so that instead of I usually put my videos at 400 speed, today's video is at 300 speed. So I should be able to explain a little bit more to you guys. So that first piece of paper with the words on it, I definitely want to use for a background, but not for this one. And this background here with the watercolored strips of color is just so beautiful. It is from the Lovely Day collection from Dear Lizzie. And then I also have this piece of paper, which is from the Maggie Holmes Chasing Dreams collection. And I'm thinking about maybe doing a monochromatic page. And so which background I use depends upon whether I'm going to do a monochromatic page. I thought that this green colored, just white, splotchy, watercolory kind of background would make a really nice monochromatic page. But usually when I do a monochromatic page, I like my photo to be really colorful. And I think a monochromatic page with a monochromatic photo is a really interesting idea, but it's not one that I'm going to pursue today. And you'll see why. I'll say a little bit. I'll go a little bit down this path. And I thought I would give you guys an idea for how to use a really busy paper like this chevron paper. It has such a strong, bold pattern, and then it also has patterning within the pattern, and then also lots of different colors. And so for me, this is a beautiful paper, and I do like it as all one piece, but it's very challenging to use as all one piece. And so one of the things that I like to do with this kind of paper is cut out the chevrons as individual design elements. So instead of using it as a pattern paper, I'm using it as a chevron design or a zigzag design element. And I'm kind of going along the lines of the monochromatic look. So I'm going to cut out some of those green or minty colored chevrons. And this paper is from the Chamel Little by Little collection. And I'm not sure if I mentioned yet, but I'm using the May Hip Kit here. And so for this one, I kind of changed my mind and decided to grab the navy blue, more colorful strip along with the blue one, because I was starting to feel like this is going to be a little bit too monochromatic. Like it wasn't really catching my attention. So I grabbed the navy blue, and it adds a little bit of pink to that as well. And I'm also going to grab the third mint colored chevron, and I'm just cutting it out with my scissors. And I'm trying to keep the corners crisp, but if you don't, like if you make a mistake and it gets a little bit more rounded than you thought, just keep in mind, like, don't be too hard on yourself, because it's one of many elements on a page. And while the details can really make or break a page in many ways, if everything isn't perfect, it's not going to be all that noticeable. Or at least that's what I tell myself, so that I don't get too stressed out about making mistakes. So at this point, I'm thinking that one of the best ways for me to bring out those vivid blue colors in the pool and in the water slide of the pool is to mount this on the more colorful background. And what that does is, instead of everything just kind of blending together, it allows the pool photo to really pop out against the colorful background. I love this daisy paper as a mat. As soon as I saw it, I thought I'm going to use that to mat every photo in my life for the next month, because I love how it looks so much. I'm just going to cut the manufacturer's strip off of this watercolored multicolor paper. Again, that one is from I think it's from the Dear Lizzie Lovely Day collection. Yes, it is. And then this paper that is with the daisies all over it is also from the Dear Lizzie Lovely Day collection. I really love how that looks around the photo. It just gives, because it's such the black and blue contrast is so high, it just gives it a little bit more energy. It's a little bit more unexpected than you might think for a matte, at least for the way that I usually matte my photos. And then I just noticed that the other side of that same daisy paper was that really nice grid pattern, and I thought that made a nice calm extra matte, and it's at a bit of like, it's an offset matte, so that means that you only see it on 2 sides instead of all 4 sides, and that's just because it was a smaller strip. And now I'm using ATG to adhere it flat on one side, and then I use some Stampin' Up! Dimensional adhesive to make it a little bit lifted on the top and on the left corners, where you see the other strip, like that matte, the back side that looks like a ledger paper. So I'm going to put these on, and I'm just going to move this down a little bit more just to give myself a little bit more room and to have the photo feel a little bit more anchored towards the bottom. I didn't want the photo to be too much in the center of the page. And now I'm balancing the chevron at the bottom with this chevron at the top. And then I'm offsetting this chevron in the middle so that all of the chevrons, or zigzag shapes, whatever you want to call them, are basically framing in my photo and giving me a little bit of space around my photo as well. So now, guess what? I'm going to sew. I almost always sew on chevron zigzags that I've cut out. I just love the look of it. And now the tension on my thread is not right. And so when I go around the corners, instead of giving myself a nice crisp corner, which is what I tried to do when I was cutting them out, it's giving me a bit more of a rounded corner because the tension is not right, the thread is kind of pulling around the corner instead of sewing tightly around that corner. So even though I'm turning my needle, and I'm sorry that I don't have a second angle here, my cell phone was dead, so I didn't get to film it from a different angle, but basically I'm sewing it in straight corners, like in, I guess, 90 degree or whatever sharp corners those would be. They're not 90 degrees, but the thread is pulling and it's actually coming out as more of a wavy type of a shape. But that's actually not too bad when I'm talking about a pool, that the line is a little bit more wavy instead of a straight zigzag. Thematically, I thought that the zigzag shape or chevron shape looked really nice on this page because it does give the impression of waves. And it's an abstract interpretation of waves, of course. It's not literal drawn on waves. Some pattern papers do have that kind of like interlocking wave pattern on it, but this just regular chevron gives me the impression of waves without having to actually use a themed paper to support my idea of waves. So I'm just cutting my threads as I go on this, and then I'm doing a double sewing along this one because there's 2 chevrons here, so I thought it would look kind of funny if only one of them had the thread, like the sewing in the middle of it. And this adds extra, I guess, emphasis to these chevrons, especially the lighter colored ones. So the one at the bottom has the darker, it's the only double, and it has the darker color. And so that provides some anchoring to this page. And then the other 2 lighter colored and also single ones are floating up. And that's what I like to usually do. I've talked before about anchoring, and so that's another example of anchoring. And the stitching just adds a little bit of contrast to those chevrons that otherwise might have blended in a little tiny bit with the background. Now, these letter stickers are awesome. They're puffy letter stickers, and they're called Cloud, and they're thickers, of course, and they came in the kit. And I'm going to spell out my title, and I'm using waxed paper so that I can play around with the placement a little bit. My title is going to be Our Pool, but it's obviously not really our pool. It belongs to the hotel, of course, but it feels like our pool. So I'm not really sure at this point if I'm going to call it our pool or have a bit of a subtitle before that says it feels like our pool or something like that. But at this point, I know I'm going to use the phrase our pool. So that's what I'm starting with, is what I know. So it might seem like I know what I'm doing when I'm scrapbooking, but I really don't. Like, I just kind of play around with it, and then I make up my mind as I go what I'm going to do. It's just when you fast forward it, and when I'm narrating it, I have the benefit of knowing how it all turns out. So I think it's important that you don't become intimidated if you're watching a lot of process videos and think that the people making process videos, are complete experts and know exactly what they're doing, because I can't speak for other process video makers, but I know for myself, I never know what I'm doing. Every once in a while, if I have a plan, I will say so at the beginning. I'll say, I had this idea about doing a layout like this, and then I'll explain it to you, and then I'll try to do it. But usually I'm just winging it, and that's what I'm doing today. So I looked through my mini market letter stickers. You saw me doing that as I was blabbering on. And so I'm going to pick out the words feels like, because it does feel like it's our pool. And I don't know if I'm going to put it feels like it's our pool or feels like our pool or what, but I think feels like our pool is more succinct, and it makes a nice little title. These letter stickers are, again, mini market, and I'll tell you what they're called. They're sea end snails. So I like it like that, but I'm thinking that I might be able to fill up the length of the photo better if I stack them like this. I haven't quite decided. I'm kind of going to go back and forth and try them both ways. That looks good too. Oops, sorry if you heard that. That does look good too, but I think I like the way that this fills the space, because by putting feels like beside our pool, it pushes our pool up a little bit further. And as I mentioned, it fills the space. There is Lila. For any of you who have been following me for a long time, Lila has grown to look a whole lot like Naomi, my other cat that used to show up infrequently, I guess less often than Maya. But Naomi used to make some cameo appearances in my videos. And Lila not only looks almost identical to Naomi, but she also has a very similar personality. And Naomi was a sook, like she couldn't get enough attention from people. She didn't really care who you were. If you were a human and had hands and eyeballs, she wanted you to be looking at her and touching her all the time. And Lila is very similar to that. So these are some buttons that came in the kit. They're from Maggie Holmes. I assume they're from the Chasing Dreams collection. And you guys know I'm in love with buttons, and I've been using them more lately. And so I was really happy to have these. I thought I'd just add them to the bottom here. I don't want too much spilling out where there's such a strong graphic design to the background of my page. I don't want too much to take away from that. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. Oh, I thought I had zoomed out here. So I'm sorry. What I'm doing is I'm poking holes. I have a little piece of foam, and I'm poking holes in the photo in the place where the buttons will go. And there's just a little tiny bit of adhesive. I pulled off the foam adhesive that comes with on the buttons because it makes them too bulky. They're already bulky enough without putting a little bit of foam under them. Right, I have to say something about two things here. So first of all, I pulled off the foam, but there was enough sticky residue on there that the button stayed in place while I poked the holes and while I'm sewing. So that was convenient. And now I have this leftover already threaded needle with black Stampin' Up! Linen thread on it. Not linen, but cotton thread. It's baker's twine, I think. Anyhow, I didn't really have enough of it. Like, it wasn't long enough, and I was feeling lazy and didn't want to rethread a needle. So I just used washi tape. I knew I wouldn't have enough room to tie 2 knots. So for the first knot, I just used washi tape instead. And it's not going to have to hold up to any wear or tear. So I think it'll hold just fine. I did tie a knot on the second one because there was enough thread left there to tie the knot. I'm using Stampin' Up! Dimensional adhesive to put this oh, and here's a little intermission. We're going to play with the cats for a while. Sorry. Oh yeah, the intermission is coming up. Sorry, it's not quite yet. So I'm using Stampin' Up! Dimensional adhesive to just pop my photo up a little bit. And that will cast a little bit of a shadow around it and just give it a little bit more dimension. And it also keeps, because where the thread is, where the twine is tied in a knot under those buttons, that corner of the photo sits up off the page anyways. So by putting dimensional adhesive all over the whole thing, it just helps the whole thing lie on one dimension. And here comes the playing with the cats part. This is Chloe. She's our newest addition. She's been here for a little bit over a year, and we got her when she was a kitten. We got them all when they were kittens. And here comes Lila saying, "Don't pay attention to Chloe." And they're just playing with this string. It's not a string, actually. It's one of the shriveled up pieces of paper that I trimmed off the edge of my background paper. It's fun because they're still kittens. Lila is only 1 year older than Chloe, and so they're both kittens still, and they're very playful, but that's enough. I can't be so playful. So there's that space under the letter S where, the word like is one letter shorter than the word feels. And so I just put the little puffy star from one of the sticker sets that came in the kit. That's actually the puffy stickers there are exclusive to the Hip Kit Club. And now I'm just going to spell out the words our pool. I had to get rid of the kitties because they were just, they don't know when to stop. Understandably so. They're just kittens. They don't understand that I have to do this video because I promised you guys I'd have it by the weekend, and it's Monday, so... It's not the kitty's fault that I procrastinated. Okay, so there we go. I really like that title. Feels like our pool. I really like that quite a lot. And now this is another thing I really didn't plan. I just thought, where am I going to put my journaling? And I thought, it would look kind of cool if I ran the journaling along the zigzags. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'll tell you what it says. The past several times we've gone to New Glasgow, we've made it an overnight trip and stayed at the Holiday Inn Express in Stellarton. And that's all the journaling that will go on this zigzag. Then the next journaling on the next zigzag says, staying overnight means I get less tired from the trip and the kids get to play in the pool. And then on the larger zigzag at the very bottom, it says, we've been here so often recently that it's starting to feel like it's our pool. We love having more relaxed visits and being able to focus on family while in PC, which is short for Pictou County. And I really wanted to document, first of all, I got this lovely shot of the pool. We went down first thing in the morning. We were the first people, because the pool wasn't turned on yet, the slide was not turned on yet. The pool was perfectly still, and you can see the reflection of the windows. I just thought it was a really striking photo, and that pool has become so much a part of our life that I really wanted to scrapbook it. And so I find car trips exhausting these days, and it has to do with my health. And so I found that every time we went to visit, I love Scott's family. They're wonderful. But I would always be stressed because as soon as we got there, I'd be dreading the car ride home. And by spreading it across 2 days, it just allows... I think it has more of an impact on me than anyone else. I can't stop talking about how awesome it is that we stay overnight now because I enjoy myself so much more when I'm there. And I think the kids really enjoy having the pool. Scott's parents would love to have us stay with them, and they're not offended at all that we stay at a hotel instead because it gives the kids a chance to get some exercise and, just play in the pool and have something to look forward to. I want to put something here, but not that bird. It looks kind of weird. Like, why is there a bird there? And so that was my first clue that the bird is not going to work. And this arrow isn't going to work anywhere either. I did layer that little clump of flowers under that bottom corner. And I also added a puffy sticker tab that says, love this. And now this little puffy sticker with the suitcases on top of the car is just so adorable. And it is a little road trip, and we do pack our suitcases. We don't bring that much stuff, but we do have a bunch of suitcases because everybody wants to bring their suitcases because we all love. So we bring 5 half-packed suitcases instead of 2 regular suitcases. So just to add some dimension here, I am adding some of the enamel dots that came in the kit just to the centers of some of the flowers. And it's not something that I'm duplicated, like I'm not repeating that anywhere else just because there's really no other place to duplicate it. So I just pulled up the corners a little bit, and I really like these plus symbols. They're always the first to go. I have another sheet of these exact same chipboard, and all the pluses are gone on that one. So this is something that I like to do that's specific to my style. I'm not sure it's part of any particular design principle or anything, but I like to cap off my title, especially when there are things on one side of my letters. I like to put something on the other side of my letters, and that's why I was looking to put something up by the letter L there, was just to kind of, it almost feels like it closes off the title and tells your eyes to stop looking for more. I thought about repeating the plus motif with that puffy sticker, kind of like banner of pluses, but I didn't like the look of it at all. And so there's one little plus down in the bottom corner to just pick up on the 2 pluses that are up by the L. And that kind of repetition just makes things feel a little bit more pulled together and makes it feel like things fit. So I'm feeling like it's done. If I wanted to splatter any ink splatters, which I haven't been doing lately, this is the time at which I'd be doing that. I just find that this background paper already looks so beautiful and watercolory by itself. I just don't feel like I need to detract from it. I thought about maybe framing it in with this black paper from Amy Tangerine, that's black grid paper, which I love, and I think this layout would look great matted with a black pattern paper. But I just didn't leave enough room on the edges to be able to trim it down, so I just decided to leave this one plain. It gives a little bit of variety in my album as well, because I think I've been matting the majority of my layouts lately, so it's nice to have one that isn't matted anyways. So you can see how the thread pulled on the corners there and to make it more into like a wavy looking shape, and that's okay. I need to do something about my little sewing machine. I love it so much, but it seems like the tension will not stay put on it. You have to open it up and adjust the bobbin tension, and it's really hard to, like, it's not that hard to do it, but it involves getting a screwdriver and like actually getting into the guts of the machine. So I'm a little bit hesitant to do it. So here is how this one looks. I hope that you guys don't mind that this one was a simpler than usual layout, but I thought about adding more, and I just thought if I add more at this point, it's just to add more. Like it won't make the layout any better. And I kind of really like how leaving it as it, oh, that's a little overexposed. Sorry about that. I think the rest of the photos are a little bit better than that. Anyhow, back to what I was saying. I think that I don't like gratuitous embellishments, like just if it serves a purpose, then that's fine. But I think for this one, less is more. That beautiful, bold background design of the chevrons on that watercolor paper really is enough of an embellishment for the most part for this one. Just a little bit down in this corner and then a little bit around the title, and then we're really good to go with this one. So I guess this proves that you don't have to do a whole lot of embellishing and layering in order to have a layout that has quite a lot of visual impact. As you can see, when you see this one from afar, it really does have quite a lot of impact. So take care and have a really great scrappy week.